Chapter 16. Hairy Pudding. The dollar store cart lay overturned on the steps of the Buttonville Senior Center, the sunbonnet at its side. The center's front door stood wide open. A tuft of brown fur hung from the doorknob. "Do you have the chocolate bar?" Pearl asked. Ben, who'd been holding the Sasquatch catching kit the entire time, nodded. "Should we open it now?" "Yeah, if we open it, maybe the Sasquatch will smell it." Pearl unlocked the kit. Then she grabbed the chocolate bar. After tearing off the top wrapper, she folded back the foil inner wrapper. A dark, shiny rectangle peeked out. Ben wanted to take a bite. Pearl held out the bar and quietly called, "Here, Sasquatchy, here, Sasquatchy," but nothing big and hairy appeared. Only Ben's grandfather stepped out of the senior center, and he had almost no hair at all. "Ben," he called with a wave, "why are you standing out there? Come in and eat some pudding." Even though it was a nice summer morning, the senior center heat was turned on full blast. The warmth made Ben want to curl up and take a nap. He fought a yawn. This was no time to get sleepy. He and Pearl were on an important Sasquatch finding mission. 3 tables had been placed end to end, each covered with pudding cups. Some of the cups were stacked almost to the ceiling. Others were displayed on cake stands. Vanilla, banana, chocolate, butterscotch, and swirl were squeezed onto every square inch of the tables. Between the cups stood cans of whipped cream and tubs of sprinkles. "Wow," Bun said to his grandfather, "that's a lot of pudding." "That's a lot of pudding?" Grandpa Abe chuckled. "You should see how much pudding we had maybe before Maybelle got here." He nodded toward a rather beefy woman who was seated at the back of the room. She peeled the top off her butterscotch pudding. Dozens of empty cups littered the floor around her. Tables and chairs crowded the rest of the room. In each chair sat a very old person. Many had hearing aids in their ears. Most wore thick eyeglasses. Each had a pudding cup, or 2. Some of the seniors looked older than Ben's grandfather by dozens of years, their faces wrinkled like pieces of fabric. "Do you see it?" Pearl whispered in Ben's ear. "No," Ben whispered back, "but I can smell it." The sour odor of wet dog hung in the air, mixed with the sweet scents of banana and vanilla. Where was the hairy beast? Because the room was buzzing with conversation, Grandpa Abe had to clap his hands to get attention. "Look, everyone," he called, "it's my grandson, Ben." Plastic spoons were lowered and heads turned, causing a ripple in the sea of white and silver hair. A chorus of "Hello, Ben" filled the room, along with a chorus of "What did he say?" "And you all know Pearl," Grandpa Abe said. A chorus of "Hello, Pearl" filled the room, along with a chorus of "What did he say?" "Most everyone here used to work at the old button factory," Grandpa Abe told Ben. Then he pointed to the metal box in Ben's arms. "What you got there?" He read the label. "Sasquatch Catching Kit. What are you 2 up to?" Ben thought about making up a story, but even if he'd had an hour or 2 to come up with something fantastic, it wouldn't have been better than the truth. "We're hunting Sasquatch," he said. "And why is Pearl holding that chocolate bar in the air?" "Because Sasquatches like chocolate," Ben said. "We're supposed to keep it a secret." Pearl hissed in Ben's ear. "Why did you tell him?" "Don't worry. He'll think it's just one of my stories," Ben whispered. And sure enough, Grandpa Abe rubbed his shiny head and chuckled. "I should live so long to see a Sasquatch. My grandson, the storyteller." Then he gave Ben a gentle shove toward the pudding tables. "Go on, eat." Once again, the room filled with conversation as the seniors began to discuss matters of importance such as hip surgery, pigeon feeding, and napping. Pearl grabbed a banana pudding cup, ripped off the top, and started eating. "I love these things," she said as she looked around. Then she nudged Ben. "You look on that side of the room, and I'll look on this side of the room." Ben took a cup of vanilla pudding, but he didn't eat it. Instead, he sniffed the air. The wet dog scent grew stronger as he walked to the back of the room. "Hey," an old man said, "there's a clump of hair in my pudding." Ben hurried to the man's side. Sure enough, it was a big brown clump. Another old man, who was seated next to Maybelle, opened a cup of chocolate pudding and held it under the table. "This doggy sure likes pudding," the man said. "I don't know why you're wasting perfectly good pudding on a dog," Maybelle said as she opened a new cup. "Dogs should eat dog food, not people food, and pudding is people food." "But it's a nice doggy," the man said. "Doggy?" Squatting, Ben lifted the hem of the tablecloth and peered under the table. The stench nearly knocked him over, as he'd been smacked by a sweat-drenched sock. There, right next to the pile of empty pudding cups, was a pair of enormous, hairy feet.